What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. We're sitting at 326.45 for the close. Currently looking at the weekly chart. We have 1 day and 18 hours. We'll see where we close. Hopefully we stay above the structure. If we were to close inside or below the structure, it starts to increase the odds. Of course, if we close underneath, that's going to be the more bearish scenario for potential prices lower. And then if we close inside of the structure, that could still kind of be in between, but it starts to increase the odds of seeing more downside. Now, if we were to get a close outside of the structure or underneath the structure, it would start to kind of play out the idea of us having this bear flag actually come into reality. Hopefully not, but we have to keep it in mind. If we see a close underneath here, like we just talked about, and we get a retest, we could potentially hit that target of 284. Just a short-term outlook more than anything. We'll see if MSTR can start to catch up to Bitcoin and start to perform with Bitcoin. So when you overlay MSTR and Bitcoin, you can kind of see a little bit of deviation. It looks like it's been leading Bitcoin, and now we're actually starting to see more deviation more than anything. As you can see, Bitcoin is creating higher highs and higher lows. You can see that structure there, the pink line. You can see that. I'll draw it out so you can visualize it a little bit better. You can see that happening there on the pink line. And then for MSTR, in that same time period, from this structure, you can see, depends if you take it from here or from here, but I guess we'll go from here. It's kind of creating that downward movement. We had a little push up, and it's kind of been sideways to down more than anything as Bitcoin's been climbing up. But then again, Bitcoin hasn't made any significant moves either. It's going up and not aggressively up. It's not like we're at 130 and MSTR is at the same price. So nothing really has happened on Bitcoin overall. It's just slight deviation right now that I'm seeing. We'll see if it continues to happen. The big thing we're watching for is the structure at 311. Close underneath the structure, expect to see more downside, potential aggressive moves to the downside, kind of similar to what we saw here. As we broke underneath the structure, we were already talking that we could be seeing this level, and it's kind of the same concept. And hopefully we can get some kind of upside and get a V-shaped recovery and start to push back up, because to the bullish scenario, we would want to see some kind of chop here, build a base, V-shaped recovery, break through here, retest, and then start to push towards that downward sloping trend line where we've already seen 2 bounces so far. And if we could break through that and retest, then we can really talk about seeing higher prices. But we would need a massive move on Bitcoin to make that happen, as that would be, roughly a 33% move depending on when it happens. So that would be a lot of firepower to the upside for that to happen. It does seem like the cycle is, coming closer and closer to an end. In terms of date, I would say 2025 should be the end of the cycle, but if it extends into 2026, then maybe we're a little bit earlier than we think. On the weekly SMA, we are finding rejection off of the 50, which we were talking about now that we were underneath it this prior week. We pushed up to it and found rejection immediately. We didn't even get a chance to push above, to even test levels above. We just rejected it instantly off of that. And now we're holding lower levels right now. I think if we break this wick, then it starts to open up the idea of us actually making that close underneath there. And on the daily, we pushed up to the 20. We didn't actually come into contact with it, and it's pushing down a little bit. The daily close was inside of these wicks here. You can see these are all wicks, so they were pretty much a support level on a smaller scale. If you wanted to hug the bodies, you're closing inside of that structure now. That's obviously not the best sign that we're closing inside of these wicks, which was pretty much that key level of support. As this was creating higher lows, you can see that structure, and now it looks like we're trying to break through that and potentially continue that move. We'll see if it plays out. Could be another mini bear flag playing out inside of the larger bear flag that we were speaking of. I was going to look at global liquidity, but I don't know what this I don't know what happened here. Some kind of glitch, I would imagine. But if you were to zoom in and subtract that weird piece there, it looks like we are starting to, I think we are at the all-time highs if you were to erase this entire piece. It looks like we're almost in line with this prior high here for global liquidity. That should show that Bitcoin is starting to push up and have some kind of longer move throughout the cycle. We'll see if it plays out, of course. Nothing's guaranteed, but it's something to watch out for. So maybe we could have that extended move into 2026 as global liquidity continues to make fresh highs. Here on the RSI, we are continuing that trend downward. We're hoping for some kind of bottom, but it looks like we are falling even further. We have found support here prior at 45, and we actually fell underneath it, and we're sitting at 43 currently. On the daily, we've fallen underneath our yellow moving average, and we are still holding our bull flag, but we'll see if it actually plays out or not. We'll see if it turns out to just be some kind of like quadruple top and then a fall off from there. In terms of the RSI, we are oversold or getting close to oversold territory. In the past, it has been a good time to buy, but we'll see if it actually turns out to be a good time to buy here or not. And the volume's kicking up towards the downside. You can see the increase in volume and momentum. And here on the daily, it actually looks pretty solid. Looks like we're getting the flip here. Momentum's dying out to the downside. And hopefully we can start seeing some green hills to the upside. And we get this blue to flip past the orange. Last time we saw that, we had some pretty significant moves. Time and time again, once you get these curls from the bottom, you get some kind of a move to the upside. So we'll see if that can play out here on MSTR. For Bitcoin, we are looking pretty solid. We have a nice little inverse head and shoulders playing out. It looks pretty good. It could indicate higher prices. As we know, that's a bullish sign. And we are closing above the structure. We actually already closed above the structure, which now opens up the idea of us potentially retesting the structure and making it to this next level here. And then, of course, we'll probably find some kind of resistance as we try to break through there. But when you take a look to the left-hand side, we have clean candles, so we'll see if we can make a nice V-shaped recovery, a quick move to the upside. But the daily is looking pretty solid right now. Weekly is looking good. We still have 3 days left in 22 hours, so a lot can happen there. If we get a close above 116, that's going to be amazing. That'll start to open up the idea of a bounce here and potentially retesting this key level of resistance that we found resistance at a couple times here already, as you can see. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking for in the upcoming weeks and months here on Bitcoin. Now on the monthly, something that we need to watch for is this key level at 115.784. So as you can see, we've pushed up prior well past 115, but we didn't actually get a close there. So we haven't even had a close above 115 yet on the monthly chart. So we definitely want to get a close above 115 on the monthly. We still have 19 days left, so we'll be, monitoring that over the next weeks. But keep an eye on that. That's going to be a key level because we want to see some kind of break above the structure, of course, but ideally just getting an actual close of the candle inside this wick, somewhere in here, whether it's 118, 120, just anywhere above this structure to show that we're actually breaking these levels. Hopefully wick fill one of these and start to push up higher. And as we push up, I would expect some kind of resistance at this level. Once again, this trend line has been a very powerful level. As you can see, it's been in effect since 2021. So be aware of that. Once we push to those levels, expect some kind of resistance along the way. On the weekly SMA, it looks like we're getting a bounce right off the 20. Pretty solid there. We closed right on it opened underneath it and we pushed above it, and we used it as support to push price higher for Bitcoin. And on the daily, we closed above our 20, and it looks like we're trying to push up to the 50. We'll see if we can hold that. If we can hold that, then that might support us to push through this key level of resistance right here. Overall, though, the structure is looking pretty solid for Bitcoin. I think it was just a temporary dip, creating a bullish structure. We'll see how it plays out, though. Tether dominance is starting to flip back after getting this push up to 461. We found rejection off the key level that we had drawn out for a while now. The levels are playing out pretty solid. Even these minor levels playing out pretty good. And now we're here at this key level of support. If we can close underneath here, that's going to increase our odds of pushing down to the structure, which would ignite a move for Bitcoin, because that's showing risk on or risk off to risk on right there as this move develops. But on the flip side, it is creating some kind of a structure where I see a left shoulder and a head. I don't know if I see a right shoulder just yet, so be aware of that. I don't know if the right shoulder has been made. I don't know if you can count this one as a right shoulder or not, or if it's going to form one, which would be a bullish move, which would be bearish for Bitcoin overall, because as Bitcoin dominance, or I'm sorry, as Tether dominance rises, this will kind of show that Bitcoin's going to actually decrease in value. But overall, in Tether dominance, we're still looking for the same thing. We're looking for our tops for the cycle. As we touch the blue line, we have seen local tops time and time again, and that's kind of what we're expecting. We do think that this potentially could have been that quote-unquote touch of the line, but we'll see if we actually get another push down. Hopefully we do, because that would ignite a move for Bitcoin and take Bitcoin to higher prices. But we'd have to break past 396 if we want to see some kind of double bottom or actual touch of the blue line. That's pretty much all I have for you guys here on MSTR and Bitcoin. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Check out the link in the bio for the Discord, and I'll see you guys in the next one.